An old lady at the bank asked me to check her balance, so I pushed her over.
How balanced was she?
Not very balanced, actually.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of mad after that.
Yeah.
Those kind of terms, it's exactly like talking to a toddler because you have to choose your words carefully. My daughter the other day was being very toddlerish, and I told her she wanted to get on my phone and do something, play games or something. And I told her, I was like, you have to be nice. If you can go around being nice, then after you've been nice, we'll consider it. She walked around the living room and then came back to me. She's like, I was nice. Like, I mean, I didn't say how long or anything. I just said go around.
So I did what you said.
Yeah, they're like little monkey paws. You have to choose your words carefully. But yeah.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of As Daz It Gets. My name is Tom. With me here, as always, is Larry, and we don't have David or Pirate David again today. I think we had to fire them both. I forget why. But I also have an old friend of mine, Jesse, joining us, who has a YouTube channel similar to Miss Rachel or Silly Miss Lily. It's along those lines. She's been doing it for about a month. All of the episodes are super fun. My kid loves them. He loves acting around like animals when we put the zoo episode on. Jess, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Jessie. I started learning with fairies about a month ago. So this process is a little new for me, but it's something that I'm very passionate about and honestly just super enjoy doing. So I've had a lot of fun just creating these like small videos, just really with the intention of entertaining kids, educating them, but also just making them laugh in the end, something fun for me to do and hopefully something fun that the parents can watch and laugh at as well as the kids.
And I feel like that's something that's a lot easier to do as a parent yourself. Like, you know how to entertain your kids, the general rules and things and stuff, and you know how to make it fun for them. So why not share it with other people if you can?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're making a child laugh or smile, then it's not a bad day whatsoever. So, it's definitely something that you can put a smile on your face too, just, hoping that.
Yeah, there's no better sound in the world than when my son starts laughing. He could get in my car, run me over, get out and start laughing and smiling at me. And I'd be like, oh, no, it's okay. It's cool.
I'm just impressed he's driving.
Yeah, right? I'm not even 2 yet.
Yeah.
Smart kid,
So
no, for sure.
When you started the YouTube channel, why did you go with the fairy route?
It was mostly because when I sat down to really start planning episodes and what I wanted to do, I originally had gotten, kind of an outfit together, kind of close to like a Miss Rachel, Miss Lily, very like teacher-esque, I would say. And after doing like a few test shots, like for an episode, I was like, this is just not me. Number two, it's not really entertaining the way that I wanted it to be entertaining. It's less silly, more kind of classroom, not really the vibe I wanted. So I just started, thinking what's something that I really enjoy, what's something that I wanted to see as a kid. And I've always loved fairies, loved dragons, imagination, kind of that fantasy world. So I really thought, what happens if we took that educational side that the parents want for the kids shows, but also that imagination side that kids do want to see at the end of the day, kind of like that cartoon, something like really fun to kind of look at, that animation, and can we combine these into kind of like one show? So that's definitely something that kind of motivated me behind the whole fairy, thing.
And so that just reminded me, growing up, my mom and one of the other women in our neighborhood started writing a book and illustrating and everything about forest fairies, and it was called Treebles. And like I can remember looking back and like seeing some of the pictures now, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I used to be out in the woods all the time building fairy houses, and I would chant the little chants and go about and make, little gadgets for the fairies, hoping that they would appear to me, and stuff like that. So it's something that I definitely am super passionate about. And it kind of just plays a little bit more on that silly side too, of like, you're dressing up, you're a fairy, you're, acting kind of goofy and silly. And it just kind of plays more to that persona that I feel like children also like.
And I think it also helps at least kids that are a little bit older than mine, since my son's like 21 months old. Engage their imagination more and help that develop.
Because my daughter's been wearing fairy wings, or her little butterfly wings, a lot more lately.
Awesome.
I think that's the catalyst behind that.
Yeah.
Which is great, but they're covered in glitter. So
glitter gets everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's fun because that doesn't come out of anything.
Yeah. I thought
at
I was
least
done.
you won't lose her. You just follow the trail.
Yeah. I thought I was done with glitter when my wife stopped doing crafty stuff, but then I realized I'm a girl dad, so.
Yeah. You adopted your daughter and you're like, well, I guess I'm into this for the next like 13 years.
Exactly. But how many costumes did you go through to find your perfect fairy, I guess, persona?
I would say probably about a good 3 to 4. Before I started this show, it was definitely almost like 2 months of that pre-production, sitting down trying to think about what it was. So I definitely had several characters in mind I was thinking about going with before the full fairy kind of came about. I was, wondering whether I needed to do more, kind of that, like, I guess like Halloween style, looking a little bit more like original style, like kind of what was it. So in the end, that's kind of where I came out with, I would say more of like that peasant outfit with the fairy wings, had the one separate. I really put a lot of thought into making sure it was corny, but not too corny, like a good mix.
And it's one of those things that like helps set you apart from the other like children's educational videos that are in the same kind of category. Like Miss Rachel's in a short sleeve pink shirt and overalls every day.
Yes.
And like that's not fun all the time. Like,
yes.
Granted, it's something they can recognize, but it's not something that like I get tired of it. Like we put on like 1 hour clips while we're playing in the morning and learning with toys and everything. And like it just goes through different shorts of hers. But like by the end of it, like I've heard every song 1,000 times and I'm about to go crazy.
Yes.
I think that's just parenting in general. The repetitiveness, because before Miss Rachel was the Wiggles and stuff like that. Those children's songs are earworms.
God.
Oh, my daughter's ballet is Snuggle Puppy is the song. I don't know all the words, but it is a catchy tune.
I think you were talking about that before because it's pups in the show, right? And you have the pug.
They're like little Dalmatians is what they're dressed up as. And it's terrifying too because they're on a huge stage, which thankfully the stage has nets around there, but I'm just waiting for a toddler to go diving off.
It's one of those things like I'm never going to own a trampoline because they're in my opinion, death traps. Like, your kid is going to bounce off or fall in between or get themselves hurt on the springs. Like, it's a guy I went to high school with who chipped his tooth, like, in high school, who, like, jumped and misfell and face planted on the deck right by the trampoline. And, like, there's a big chunk of his tooth missing. Like,
Ouch.
if you, I'm not trying to parent other people's children, but if you want to have a trampoline, go for it. That's just not something, because of a traumatic experience I had in my past.
Yeah. Also, I just thought of this. So when you started the channel, how much experience did you have with anything as far as video editing or like social media, YouTube, anything like that beforehand?
Almost zero for like the editing part. Like I had not done anything for like recording, trying to put it together, you know, let alone the like special effects that like I try to put on there. So that has been a whole journey of, you know, extra time that I have to spend just to Google all of this stuff, or YouTube, or, you know, like how in the world are you trying to do all this? So that one was new. I had a little bit of experience, I guess, with the social media and YouTube aspects. I used to do some like music when I was like younger. So I kind of like knew a little bit of like a marketing thing, but like this is like completely outside of my norm. Like it's all like new to me to like try to do like a whole TV show, thinking about how to put it together. Like, what is this? Writing episodes, writing skits, like that's completely new to me for sure.
Yeah, that's something I could never do. Like, I can do this where like we kind of just talk and joke around and like have a few questions prepared and interact. But like, I could never film an episode. Like, I'm not.
We have no structure.
Yeah.
as you can see. We just
half the time we will go on Reddit parenting and just find a topic we want to discuss and be like, okay, this is what we're doing today.
Yeah. So we have easy ways out. So for you, is it just you doing the editing, the writing, the performing?
Yeah, all of the above. And it's really funny. You can tell sometimes too. I'll have a script, but sometimes you just have to keep going with it. So sometimes you'll see me flabbergasted a little bit on like a take. I'm like, yes. And then I'll fumble or something. And I'm like, that's just the hilarious part for the parents to watch, you know? But for just kind of like coming up with the skits and stuff like that, it's just a lot of time, you know, just sitting there thinking. It's just a lot of like prep work, I would say, for that. Yeah. Before anything else.
Well, because like you have to find backgrounds for everything for you to stand in front of for like all of your skits and everything, and like you're putting out a show a week, and that's a lot to manage when like especially you're writing on your own stuff. You have to find your own images and GIFs and everything like to make it work and be good, and like that's admirable, really. Like.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's just a lot of coffee in the morning, I will say.
I was going to say, like how do you manage doing that and being a parent and everything else you do? Like, I myself can barely find time to do things for me. Like, this is my me time right now. Like, when I get to record and do my podcast stuff, and like occasionally I'll get to play a video game or watch some TV after my fiance goes to bed. And like, that's my, like, I can turn my brain off and just relax for a little bit before I lay down.
Yeah.
So for you, it's just a lot of caffeine.
It's a lot of coffee, energy drinks, like all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely a must. And you know, just taking notes on your phone and stuff like that. Like I just like have like a little notebook on my iPhone too, so you can do regular life. And if something like pops up, like an idea of like, oh, as I'm sitting down playing with my daughter, anything comes up, I'm like, that would be really funny. That would be a really good thing to like engage with or to do it like a skit. And I'll just like make a quick note on my phone of like, let's do this. And so, you know, kind of like ideas like that will like pop up. So you can kind of like write as you go throughout the day. So it doesn't have to be necessarily like a sit down session or something that takes like an hour of your day, because to be honest, with kids and days and working and life, you know, that's crazy. Yep. So, you know, it's really just squeezing it in whenever you have the mental capacity to think about it.
There was a short period of time where I was thinking about like starting to do stand-up, and most of what I wanted to do was crowd work, like pick someone out of the crowd and like start joking around with them, pick on them a little bit, whatever. I'm sure you guys have seen videos of that on like Instagram or Facebook or whatever. And one of the things that inspired that, my 5th grade teacher told me I was going to be the next Jerry Seinfeld. And now I'm a stay-at-home dad without an income. So I guess I showed her.
Yeah.
Got her. I actually thought about stand-up too. And I did stand up on VR in their metaverse thing. Joke writing's hard.
It is so hard. Like
as far as your ideas, when they hit you, how many times do you think this sounds like it would be Miss Rachel or one of those other kid YouTube videos?
Silly Miss Lily, or
yeah, I couldn't think of her name.
Yeah. All the time. I mean, I think that's something that, you know, in anything that you do, you're always going to be comparing yourself to something that you've closely heard or related to or have seen a million times. The only difference I think that like kind of separates my mind when I'm doing something to get me out of that, you know, stopping moment of continuing to do the project is just the silly goofiness aspect, because that's something that was watching Miss Rachel or Silly Miss Lily is I didn't really laugh. I didn't like, you know, it's educational, it's great, but that's something that I didn't really, I was like, oh, it's not really funny, it's not really goofy. So that's something that I kind of was like, all right, that's something that I can separate myself from writing that I know is a little different, is that it is a little bit more goofy, or it's a little bit more kind of like silly. So like, you know, that's kind of like one of the most things. And again, it's just, even if you feel that way in the time, like, oh, it kind of sounds like this, it kind of looks like this, you know, just keep going for it. You know, at the end of the day, the kids are getting entertained. So like, who cares, you know?
And I think a big part of it is, at least with Harrison, when I'm watching your videos or Miss Rachel or Silly Miss Lily or whatever show or Pixar movie, whatever, like me engaging with him and laughing when something funny happens helps him be like, oh, this is funny. I need to laugh.
Exactly.
One of his favorite, and this is terrifying to me. So we'll watch Toy Story from time to time, like while we're playing. His favorite part of the movie is towards the end when Woody comes to life and looks at Sid and says, so play nice. He thinks it's hysterical. And I'm like, buddy, you can't.
I think every kid has red flags on those things, on certain things. And you're just like, am I raising a serial killer?
It's one of those, like, I think it's because Sid screams afterwards, and like he associates that with happiness. So like he screams and laughs, and in the back of my head, I'm like, please, like honestly think this is a joke, and don't be weird later. Like,
don't scream at people.
Yeah, I think that's every parent's natural thoughts when it comes to looking at their kids. Like, could you be a surrogate? Okay, no, okay, cool. We can move on, you know.
Is it possible?
Yeah, is it possible?
So
look deep in your eyes and just know.
For your YouTube channel, I know that YouTube has taken away they've not taken away the dislike button, but they've hidden it. Mm-hmm. So as far as a YouTuber, you don't get that I guess constructive criticism from those things. How do you gauge, and also your target audience can't type. How do you
They're
gauge,
a little young for that.
if they're typing, I mean, they deserve those mean comments. Like they
Yeah.
can say whatever they want. But how do you gauge
Suppressing himself.
the feedback on what they're doing? Do you have a tiny test audience? Do you show up to a daycare or something? You're like, hey,
Yeah.
I
Oh my
want to
gosh,
test.
that would be awesome. I don't know if they would allow me to do that right off the bat. I'd be like, get away, creepy lady, you know. But yeah, as far as like, you know, feedback for all of that, I mean, I just ask as many parents as I can, like, hey, how was your kid's reaction to this? You know, are they liking it? Did they not like it? Do they seem disinterested in a certain part? And then I am always running my videos by my 15-month-old daughter. So a lot of the times what I'll do is I'll start a clip, you know, or have like a segment together. I'll play it for, and I just watch her specifically. And just to see, is she engaged with it? Does she kind of smile? Does she seem like she likes it? Or is she immediately getting up and walking away? She's like, nah, I'm good. And I'm like, okay, well, that tells me it's not very good then. So let me scratch it. Let me, you know, either make it a little bit more funny. Do I need to be, you know, this, that, the other? So she's my first target audience. And then eventually what I would like to do is, yes, I would love to have just a group full of kids to be like, okay, let's play this clip. Let's do this. Let's do that. You know, how are you liking it? But as of right now, it's really just kind of by the word of parents, you know, how their kids reacting, just because I can't see all of the kids' reactions.
Right. And go ahead.
I was going to say, I will let you know, when Harrison and I watched your first episode, we were winding down, getting ready for a nap, and I don't know if it was your voice, I don't know if it was the video, but he got so freaking excited that he decided he wasn't going to take a nap and he was just going to cram around his crib and yammer and just talk to himself.
So
I was going to say that's awesome for me, but I don't know if it's awesome for you.
Yeah, it was not so fun for me because like I kept going in there trying to soothe him. I was like, buddy, please, like lay down.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, that's well, not the exact reaction I want, but I do want the engagement of the child.
Like the engagement and like the excitedness of him. That's what you want.
Exactly. Yes.
Not necessarily my kid deciding I'm not taking a nap anymore.
Not taking a nap. Yeah.
So you've done this for about a month when your channel went live.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen a lot of growth and interaction with it? Are YouTube parents reaching out?
Yeah, I've had a few reach outs. I've also had like a few reach outs between like YouTube and TikTok, just because I, you know, started like some clips on TikTok that you know, you can view some of the episodes. And then, yeah, I've had just several people reach out to me just kind of saying like, hey, like my kid, I had one person say that their little brother really enjoyed it. So she was like following me just so her little brother could watch it. So yeah, I mean, I've had better responses than I thought. Let's just say that I did not know how this was going to go whatsoever. I was just pretty certain that I was going to release some videos and everybody was going to think I was a crazy lady and, you know, kind of like move along, kind of thing. But I'm really happy that kids are being engaged with it and are being entertained. So that's awesome for me to get. So it's definitely more than I thought originally, because wasn't quite sure how this was going to land in the whole populace of things.
That's pretty much how we started. Like,
yeah,
we weren't sure how it was going to take off, and it's picked up a lot. And I don't want to brag, but Georgia has the highest percentage of listens, and I'm pretty sure that's because of me.
It's going down though. A couple weeks ago it was at 80%. Now Georgia's 68% of our viewership.
But that's still the highest, right?
It's still going down. But no, I think as far as a creator, at least for me, the one thing that I look at is, I mean, I don't do it to get rich and famous. I do it just to because I do it for me. And if at least one person likes it, then it's definitely worth it. So that's,
it's a fun little escape. Like, I get to have time to myself where my fiance is in charge of the dog and the baby if anything happens, and like I get to chat with my friends and like dork around and be nerdy and just be goofballs. And
I was gonna just say, like, you know, as a content creator, like, you know, especially if you're starting something new, you know, never knowing necessarily the outcome, just because every outcome, there's like a million outcomes to starting something. So, you know, just, it's really just having the guts to start it in the first place. That's the most important thing. Like, you never know until you're actually starting something. So one, as long as you're enjoying it and having a good time, it's the most important thing, you know?
Yeah. It definitely is. I think as long as you're entertaining yourself, you should keep doing it no matter what. But as far as your recording, where do you record at? Do you just have a separate space, or do you just throw up a green screen in your living room and your neighbors are watching?
Yeah. I have a green screen set up in my basement area. So it's kind of like the basement garage. I just like have this huge green screen with some lights set up, and then I just record on my iPhone. So I just hook it up, and
it's all shot on iPhone?
It's all shot on iPhone specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question was like, do you have a camera? Do you use your laptop? Do you use your phone? Like, how are you filming this? So you film on your phone. Do you do editing on a laptop?
Editing is on a laptop on a Mac. So I'm just keeping everything Apple, so that way everything transfers over, you know, correctly from like audio, video, stuff like that. I don't have any problems. It's really convenient because I can record from just my phone and then just airdrop it in straight to my laptop, and I can kind of make edits as I'm going. And so like the more I'm going, obviously the more complicated I'm trying to get with some of my edits. So some of the things I need playback on my laptop. So I'll have my laptop set up, do a playback, figure out what I need to do for the set, and then record, you know, pretty much simultaneously.
I was going to say, because with some of them, like I know you're recording on your phone, like can you see what the green screen would be displaying, or are you just kind of
Nope, I am going in completely blind.
It's kind of like a weatherman.
Which is why some of the edits end up kind of funny, just because it's completely all natural for that. No, some of it I'm still kind of working with, because I would like to have it eventually where I could have some kind of display screen so I can kind of see what's going on in the thing. But for right now,
just so you can like point in the right direction and like at least generally have an idea.
Right now I'm just kind of looking at the other side of the green screen and just kind of moving around. And sometimes I'll go in and kind of edit myself a little over to a side, just because anything that I'm dropping in might have to do, you know, a little bit to the left or something. But yeah.
I think Apple kind of centered themselves around being able to make movies and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the thing too. It's like especially right now when you're starting off, I know you were mentioning too, just, you know, not having to pay for anything right now. It's kind of that same concept of like before, you know, trying to get the expensive cameras and anything else. It's like, it already has a really good camera on it. Might as well just use this until I need to get a better one. But this one right now is working, you know.
Now, do you use front facing so you can see yourself at least, or do you use the rear camera so that it has higher quality?
I use the front facing so I can specifically see. I feel like it would get way too messy trying to use the front side, you know.
That was my biggest. I was like, I feel like it would be way harder to do it the other
way. You just get a mirror, like one of those $15 Walmart mirrors that are long. Set it up, and then there you go. I think I don't know the specs for iPhones, but if it's like any other phone, the front facing camera tends to have lower resolution and megapixels and all that jazz. I'm an Android person.
Same.
Yeah.
And if I was doing something like what you're doing, where I'm shooting video and recording audio and doing all of that editing, yeah, I would probably use more Apple products.
Mhm.
But I've never had, like, I got an iPod as a graduation gift from high school from my family, and that's the only Apple product I've ever owned.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I had a Nokia brick, and then I got a few different Samsungs, and then now I still have a Samsung now, but there was like an LG or two mixed in there, because I'm 35 and old.
It's true. So
You're like 4 months younger than me.
Still younger. For the you had mentioned that you wanted to keep costs as low as possible. Do you ever think about crowdsourcing, or even being like, hey, Apple, I'm using your products,
Somewhat sponsor me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sponsors the word.
yeah, absolutely. I think all of that, is something that I think more like business strategy wise of like, that's probably going to be down the road. I think that it can be easily like stressed out if you really start thinking about, oh, I'm not exactly making money right now, or, I don't have this and that. I don't have a sponsorship right now.
Right.
Could get like bottled in the mind and like stress yourself out to where you are, stop being as passionate about like the project itself. So right now I'm not focused on that. I'm really just focusing on getting better at editing, trying to, be more creative in some of my episodes, really just focusing on the groundwork before anything else of like marketing just right now. I know all of that will come with time, but right now I'm not too worried about it. I know for myself, I just need to get a little bit more fluid in my work before I need to worry about any of that.
Well, I mean, and this is like your first experience doing this, so like you can't expect to just go ahead and rip off and be the best. Like, it takes time. It takes time to learn, and just like everything else. And sometimes, like, I try and teach myself that when I'm helping Harrison learn a new thing, like, hey, bud, like, we need to slow down and try this a little better. Let's rotate this puzzle piece or shape or whatever so it can fit in its space. And I feel like, and I hope this doesn't sound degrading, but I feel like it's almost the same kind of thing where like you have to learn how to do the best you can for what you want to do because it's brand new to you. Like this isn't something you've done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I even, one of the times when I was first starting to edit, we were, threw on an old episode or an old, clip of Miss Rachel. And I looked at my husband, I was like, oh, that background's from iMovie. I know it. Like I've literally been using this background. Like it's terrible quality. Like this is a terrible looking video. I have a terrible looking video, and it was something from almost 3 years ago. And that made me feel really good. I'm like, see, like we all have to start somewhere, again, the most important thing is to start, and just kind of keep going with it. And obviously now her production value is off the chains.
Yeah, she's making a good bit more money than she was when she first started.
She owns every child in the world.
Yeah.
Her and Blippi, man. God.
Yeah. So like for me, this is technically my 5th podcast. I had 2 that never aired. But so it's good to see that where they came from versus where they are now. It kind of gives you hope. For your I lost my question again. I need to write things down.
You really do. Like you're normally pretty good about it, and
I'm telling you. So for your recording, have you ever had those instances where you're doing your stuff and then like Amazon or something, pizza delivery guy shows up and you've got to answer the door dressed as a fairy?
No, nothing like that is happening right now. I know. That would be good. No, normally I have the husband watch the rest of the house, but a few people have like stopped by. Somebody was like helping us install like a garbage disposal, and I definitely came up in fairy wings and he definitely looked at me like, what are you doing? Like, just passing on by. Don't mind me. I'm just grabbing a glass of water. Gonna go back downstairs, and
it's just a figment of your imagination.
Yeah, look at the fairy. Yeah, but yeah, nothing too crazy of that. But yeah, I also try to record in times that I know people aren't going to come over and stare at me and wonder why it looked that way.
Yeah, they'll normally give you like a window block of like, hey, it'll be here between this hour and this hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm not recording then.
Yeah.
That's my biggest fear of doing anything like that. Would be, for one, I have stage fright when it comes to performing in front of people. But also I kind of get in my own head when I'm in front of a crowd. If I'm not paying attention to the crowd, or if the crowd is virtual, I can talk all day.
Which you do.
Yeah, I do. No problem with it. So do you ever have an audience? Does your husband ever help with filming or anything like that?
Or sit down and watch you play in front of a green screen while you figure out how to edit it later to make it look like everything's working.
He has not as of yet helped me with any of the video stuff. He's definitely offered. He's like, I can be the dragon. I can help you do whatever. And I'm still kind of a little shy, a little bit for the stage fright too. So I'm like, listen, I'm acting crazy. Like, you don't want to be a part of this. As I'm like, let's count to 5, to a completely empty room and very silent room. So some of it can get very awkward as I'm like stopping. I'm like, oh, okay, that was really weird, Jesse. Like, but take 2, But he's definitely offered, and eventually I would like to bring in more characters and more kind of different things, and eventually I know I'll have to have help, but as of right now the only person approving my stuff is my daughter, so she's really the only person putting that stamp of approval on the episode before it goes.
That's the only thing that matters, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like if I could do what you do and like just entertain my son with it, then I do it all the time. But I can't because I'm not entertaining. Like, I can tell a joke here and there, but I can't do that for like a YouTube like cast or whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely a different kind of putting yourself on the line there, like it's like my friends will be like, yeah, like, Jesse, you're doing a lot of, interesting stuff nowadays I'm seeing. And I'm like, yes, like it's for the kids, like it's really all that I'm focused on right now too. But yeah, definitely interesting.
With my luck, if I were to start a YouTube channel for kids, it would be weirder for me, I think. Like fat balding guy.
Yeah, I don't think. And Larry, you're one of my best friends at this point. Like, that is not a good idea for you.
Yeah. I maybe I would do puppets.
Yeah, you could do puppets as long as you were off screen. For anyone who doesn't know what the rest of us look like, if you look up the comedian Brian Posehn, that's kind of what Larry looks like, except with less of a beard. And I can tell that Larry is looking him up right now. Super nice guy. I got to meet him when I was working at Lenox Mall.
Oh, yeah. That guy.
Yeah, he was in, was it Just Shoot Me? And then Comedians of Comedy was like a comedian tour he did with Zach Galifianakis and Patton Oswalt. I recognized him when he came in. I was like, oh, hey, are you Brian Posehn from Comedians of Comedy? And he did his character voice, which is far from his normal voice, from his show that he was on. He's like, yeah.
Yeah, he's been on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he's super nice. He's gigantic.
Oh, God.
I think he's
He
like
was
6'3".
so here's the ironic part. He was in Kim Possible as cousin Larry.
Whoa!
Whoa.
He was
Flashback.
meant to be me.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
derailed.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Like every episode.
For your podcast for your YouTube channel, do you ever think of going in a different scene, such as going outside or any other locations like that?
Yeah, that's definitely something I would like to start incorporating into some of the later episodes once I get a little bit more of my foot in the door of what I'm kind of doing. Definitely changing up the scenery, taking it outside, doing stuff like that is something I 100% want to put on the agenda. Just kind of figuring out, just like with anything else, how to do it is more of like the big stumps for me when it comes to producing some of that stuff. It's like, okay, we've got the picture, but now that it's real life and we're doing this, how are we doing this?
It's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
And I forget, do you have pets or anything? Like, would you ever think of incorporating pets if you did have them into your channel?
We have a dog. I don't think that he would sit tight for any of the recordings. I dressed him up in like a little like goblin suits, and had him do a segment. Yeah, I think he would just get freaked out at that point in time.
I know mine for sure wouldn't sit still if I was going to do anything like that.
Yeah, no.
But I do know that some people do that because their dogs are behaved, unlike mine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it would be super fun to have that incorporated, but I would definitely have to get more trained animal on set before that would be a possibility.
I think a monkey should be added.
A monkey would be absolutely cool, like a little spider monkey,
exactly.
Like,
oh my god, they're so obedient.
Yeah.
That's all
I really
I
want like a fox or a raccoon, but because you can domesticate them. They're basically cats and dogs. Like they're from the same family. But Meredith won't let me have one because apparently we have a baby and that's out of line.
This is a completely off-topic story, but I was at a Huddle House once, and we walked in, and there was this lady sitting with her child, and we sat down, and we were sitting there eating, and I kept staring at this child because there's something just off about the woman and her child. And I was sitting there staring at him, and then I realized that the child was a monkey. It had little clothes and everything. Had a little hat, was just sitting there eating a waffle. And that was the best time. I mean, people were mad because it was in a Huddle House. But I mean, that's like...
But it's Huddle House.
I mean, Huddle House, and it's a monkey eating a waffle.
Yeah.
Things you don't see every day, that's for sure.
It was fantastic.
Do you know what? And this is me being the weird nerd that I am. Was it a spider monkey, or like, do you know if it had a tail, or...
I think it was a capuchin or something like that. Okay. I don't know. It was a while, and the monkey was fully clothed. So.
That's weird. Okay, so, and here's a fun animal fact for everyone listening, because sometimes I do this on Facebook. If it doesn't have a tail, it's not a monkey. It's a member of the great ape family.
It's
like
a monkey.
The orangutan. So that was nerd moment.
For your YouTube channel, now that you're creating your brand, do you ever and this, I hope this doesn't like get to your head or anything, but do you ever worry about your image? Because with Blippi, there was that whole situation where he had a lot of things he had done beforehand that were not child related.
Yeah.
Like words that I'm not supposed to say about his past because we're PG-ish.
Yeah.
Those. Yeah.
The fecal thing.
Why he's so energetic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever worry about that, or have you put much thought into that yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a natural thought to think anytime that you are creating anything and you're putting yourself out there of, what if old high school photos get out and, everybody looks at you and stares at you or something crazy,
God, I hope not.
But I think that's going to be always kind of the challenge of putting yourself out there is that, potential to be embarrassed, it's just one of those things that's going to come with time. It's just going to be part of the core, it's not going to be, anything that's going to be easy. Some things are going to come back and kind of tease you from something you've probably done, a time or two that you were young and dumb, but that's just going to be growing up and being human, to be honest. So at this point, it's just like, well, I am a different person. We're different people. We change and grow every single day. So that's just something that we have to move on for. And if people want to give you flack for it, it's just one of those things like, sure, you can listen. But at the end of the day, you still got to move on. You still got to, continue to grow and continue on the journey that you are.
Well, right. And I think that's one of the things that especially our generation will be most understanding of. Yeah, we were kids at a difficult time. We messed up. We did dumb stuff. But we're grown-ups now. And 95% of us have fixed those problems. And it's, sometimes it can still be embarrassing. But you have to realize where you are today and that you're doing so much better for yourself and your family and your loved ones and all of that.
Yeah. And I think too, you see this time and time with even, kids that have been on Disney or, Disney in and of itself. You can't have any kind of, misguided, shenanigans in any form or fashion, while you're on Disney. But you see a lot of people that end up leaving Disney or they get fired from Disney because something happens, because they're being human and, life just kind of happens sometimes and accidents, take place. So it's very natural to think that if you're on the opposite side before you get into the kid industry, if anything were to happen, of course, that's going to come back because, you're dealing with kids and parents are naturally cautious and they want to make sure whoever their kid is, watching or around is going to be a good role model. But again, it's just kind of one of those part of the course things that you have to just deal with. You have to be able to answer those awkward questions if they come up and kind of mentally prepare yourself for maybe one day my child's going to see something crazy, but hopefully you can sit down and have a mature conversation with them if that ever happens.
I can't have a mature conversation. That's that I'm the no parent, but Meredith is the serious discussion parent. Farts are funny to me. They always will be. I can't. I'm not going to be able to have those conversations.
Those are God's jokes. So for anybody that wants to check out your YouTube channel or TikTok or any other social media, where can they find you at?
Learning with Fairies is pretty much typed into any and all platforms. They made it so that way it pulls up. I don't have my exact small niche memorized, the exact link, but it's yeah, exactly. But Learning with Fairies for YouTube and Learning with Fairies Facebook, Instagram at Learning with Fairies is pretty much where you can find all content.
When we post this episode, I'm following you on YouTube, so I'll make sure to include a link to, at the very least, your YouTube, so that other people can watch, listen, learn, have fun.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah, and that's about as dad as it gets, Tom.
This time, that's as dad as it gets.
Okay. If you enjoy our content, please give us a 5-star rating and review on your favorite podcast platform. And if you want to keep up with the latest dad jokes and memes, find us on Instagram at asdadasitgetspod. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at asdadasitgets@gmail.com.